Welcome to the Uncle Hack Podcast, where dudes pretty much just talk dude shit.
There it is. Thank you very much. Thank you, Jesus. You shouldn't have. Take a seat. You know what I'm saying? We're back at it. First off, tour dates on the Spite Tour this weekend. We are in Grand Forks, British Columbia, February 18th, Castlegar, British Columbia. Following weekend, Daddy makes a return back home. February 25th in Lethbridge, Alberta. That should be a fun one. March 17th, Hinton, Alberta. March 18th, Edson, Alberta. March 26th, back in Edmonton at the comic strip. And lastly, for dates to report, April 2nd in Vancouver. That's right. The boys are heading out west. And then shortly after that, we will be releasing dates where we will be in Ontario. So quit asking. We're working on it. We're trying to get out there. We want to come to, we want to come out there. We want to speak our minds to people that don't want to hear it. I get it. Out there is, it's a different lay of the land. And some of you folks think identical to us out here in the West, and we think similar to you. But unfortunately, you have a capital that skews our vision with on how we view one another from out east, So we got to come out there and we're going to unite the alt-right. That's what we're going to do. It's going to be Trucker Convoy 2.0, and instead of Twisted Sister's Greatest Hits, we're going to just play Deicide for an hour. God is gay. God is gay. We're going to do that for an hour. And you're going to learn that love is not enough. You got to fight evil with hatred. Glad I got that off my chest. Anyways, it is demon mode time. That's what I'm getting at. We're watching all these satanic rituals take part in front of us. Super Bowl weekend just happened today. Well, if you're listening on the early episode, today is Valentine's Day, so we'll get into that. And we have some politicians that are speaking out, have some words to say in front of crowds that are, the language could be controversial depending on how you view it. You might agree, you might disagree. That all comes down to if you have a university degree in believing all theories are real. And we'll dive into that. Because I think that what he said could be interpreted many different ways, if you suffer from white guilt, it could, have you feeling a little, but if you don't, right? If you don't, we'll save it for that part. We're getting too ahead of ourselves. Like I said, Super Bowl weekend. I love when when halftime shows happen and all that, because a little bit about me, I love me a good conspiracy theory, I love going down it. And especially it started way back when, like the 9/11, it was an insight. It spiraled over the years. And you learn that this could be a form of entertainment. Do we know the truth? Not entirely, but we like to believe we know the truth. So we're going to go down a hypothetical rabbit hole on stuff that I think could possibly be true. Depending on how you think, right? Because lately, a conspiracy theorist is labeled whenever they have an opposing viewpoint to what possibly could be to what can be considered maybe the mainstream way of thinking, right? As soon as you oppose that, that's conspiracy. We've heard that too much in the past 2-3 years. That's a conspiracy theory. And then it comes true. And then the timelines are just getting shorter and shorter. They're like, hey, fuck, man, chill out. They're trying to push a digital ID on us. Oh, no, it's just it's a cough. We got to stay inside for 2 weeks. And like, then all of a sudden it's like, you need a fucking barcode to go shovel in some some goddamn deep fried calamari down your yap and suck back, carb infested beers, some draft beers. So you just pumping bullshit into your body. And I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, now all of a sudden because I drank a smoothie and went to the gym 6 times this year, I am a pinnacle of health. No, I'm not saying that. Okay. I'm not trying to be over here like, oh, look at how great I am. I changed my life around. I don't do cocaine no more. Look at me. I found God. No, I'm not about to do that. I'm not that kind of guy. I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm superior to you based on a lifestyle change. Those people drive me nuts. Do I talk about it? Yes. Hey, this is what I'm up to. But it always seems to when I talk about it, I always have it in the back of my head like, oh, fuck, you're starting to sound like one of these guys. Oh, you're not going to believe what I learned the other day. I'm not trying to do that. What I am trying to say is maybe the whole thing, right? Maybe the whole past 3 years wasn't necessarily about health, right? It wasn't necessarily about health. I think we could possibly agree with that for bare minimum, base level. All sides we can look at and be like, was it about health? Reports are coming out the masks weren't actually that protective. And now we're like, you still seeing people wear it, There's always an article or a study that can prove that you're right. And then somebody else can have the same fucking study with different results. And then you sit there and, oh, fucking, why is this? I don't know. So I'm just saying, information can be a bit smoky at times, You're looking at all the information, taking the information. I got the right information, and then if you're not taking that information from what some would say a credible source, right? A credible source. What does that mean, a credible source? They just have more money than you, right? They just have more money. They have more power. They have the ability to get their information out further. It's like back in the day when, wars were happening between like 2 human tribes. And then one human tribe takes over another, and what they believe now becomes history. This tribe's history gets erased because they don't exist no more. They wiped them out. They take their women. They take their children. They breed them up. Fucking, what do I say? They care for these beings to put them into the tribe. We got more people. We can conquer more places. Right? So whoever wins writes history. And now, is it a little, I think the war has changed. It's not so much like running into, this village with fucking clubs and spears and bows and arrows to take out them. And then we thrive. Our tribe thrives because we're more violent. I think it's more vicious now. A confused society is a very easily controlled society. We don't have all the right answers. We don't have the right history. It's popping up. The internet has caused us to go a little bit cuckoo, a little crazy. The past 2 years, right, is just a prime example. All the information that was handed to us, some of it was false. They didn't know the answers. And some of it was coming out like they knew about this prior to it even happening. And shit just isn't adding up. But if you start going around and pretending that you're Inspector fucking Gadget, start looking around, poking around, you peek behind the curtain. What's happening back there? What's happening back? Whoa, get out of here, you conspiracy theorist. So that's where I get upset when these types of conspiracy theorists, and that's what I mean with the Super Bowl, with the Rihanna performance. This gets fun for me. That's why I wanted to dive into it, because I see things when you watch something and when it's entertainment, especially when it comes down from Hollywood, and it can be any sort of like music, film, commercials, whatever it may be, anything that's produced in Hollywood, I start to get skeptical now, After I've watched celebrities get together and be like, get the vaccine. Get the vaccine. These bloodsuckers, you know what I mean? They sat in a fucking 80 by 80 foot hot tub being like, this is all hard on all of us. This is all just so hard on all of us. And you're like in a 10 by 10 fucking 1-bedroom apartment where the pipes are rusted, the water's murky all the time. It's, you know, like there's a stench in your neighborhood that just won't go away. You're in like a, you know, I'm not saying everybody, like I'm just saying not everybody lives like that, but there's people out there that we're like supposed to look at these people that are influence culture. You know, they have a grasp on reality. But then when all this came out, you're just like, these people are fucking so out of touch, right? They don't have a goddamn clue what's going on out there. They have a script. Read it. Read the script, dummy. You want another 10 million? You want to be an Aquaman 2? Is that what you want? Oh, you want to be on the cover of Vogue? You want to be on the cover of magazines. Is that what it is? Well, they don't exist anymore. So guess what? We'll pump the numbers. We'll make sure we control the algorithm so your shit gets seen first. How's that sound? And then these bloodsuckers hop in on it. That's like when the conspiracy theories come out of Rihanna, right? Of Rihanna at the halftime show. These are fun for me, you know? Like a ritual was performed in front of all of us. And it happened at what was just prior to that? Was it the Grammys or some award show? And Sam Smith is out there rolling around looking like well, first off, he looked like a fucking tube steak, whatever they squished him in. The fact that whoever made that costume, congrats. That is top tier tailoring. Top tier. Seams welded together, and they stuffed that pig in there and told him to go run around or roll around the goddamn stage looking like a devil, you know? So it just like starts to be like, what is all this imagery? You know, when you're one of those, like, I love that stuff. I can sit and watch it forever. Like, and it fascinates me because I don't know if it's reality or if it's false. But I like to believe that there's a blend of both in there. Some of it is far-fetched and some of it is quite believable. So to think that the music industry, with the evils that it has put out for the past 2 years, you know, like for instance, what about... I just draw a blank as I'm about to make the biggest point on why you should believe me about my conspiracy theory. But look at some of the music they put out there. You know, there's no soul in this shit no more. It's just beat tracks. It's sampled tracks with the dumbest humans that it's just mumbling. We are on a slow decline and headed straight for a society that looks exactly like Idiocracy. If you haven't seen that movie, it is a perfect representation on where we are going as a human civilization. Now, is that like a doom and gloom thing that I'm saying? Possibly, but just how we're maneuvering, right? Knowledge is passed down. I love listening to I am not even making a point remotely close to the Rihanna Super Bowl performance because that's just a small portion of it. It like, are these rituals and these satanic dances happening in front of us? If they are, they're kind of gay, right? It's got this devil stuff used to be like kind of cool. It used to be kind of cool. You remember when the metalheads would come in and they'd have like a fucking Slayer shirt, and then you're like, "Dad, that's rad as hell." That used to be cool. It was metal. Now it's like, nah, come on, and some pregnant woman is doing a dance in a fucking ritual dance, and it just looks like contemporary art in front of us instead of like a death metal concert with moshing and fucking headbanging. And, you know, it was a thing to be a part of. And I'm not saying like metal concerts are a satanic ritual by any means. I'm just saying that whole like Satan shit was cooler back then when metal was like, hell yeah, brother, Slayer. That's way cooler than this like gay art, you know, gay art dressed up like the devil. All of them just look like a whore on Halloween, trying to be sexy 7 daiquiris in, just rolling around a stage and doing these like weird movements with their body and like, you know, like shaking. It's like a contemporary dance that some maniac whacked on LSD did in her fucking living room in front of their roommates one day. And they're like, that is art. And then they just slap like a Beelzebub costume on the motherfucker, put it out there, and they're like, Illuminati. That's where like it's getting done. Like, do something cooler. You know, I get that it's all like a ritual taking place in front of people, because I believe in the satanic Bible. If you're going to do any of that, you're supposed to let everybody know what you're up to. That's like the one rule. Or their 10 commandments. I haven't read the Bible. I get the cliff notes, right? I haven't took the whole dive into it. And like, why would you want to read the satanic Bible? Same reason I want to read about fucking, you know, Mike Tyson's life. I don't know. It's interesting. But I'm just saying, looking into it, there's just certain aspects of the satanic Bible that just make it kind of makes sense. You know, if you're going to do something, you got to let everybody know, but they're not outright saying it. So that's where you know, it gets like confusing, and you get yourself wrapped up, and then you go down these rabbit holes and be like, oh my God, are they tricking me? You know, are they tricking me? Where it's just like, it's right in the lyrics with death metal, you know, that's where I can respect it more than this pop culture, like doing the symbolism with the fucking triangle and the one eye and being like Illuminati. And it's like, this is gay. You know what I mean? It's gay. It's dumb. It drives me like to the point where I'm just like, just say it. Just say it. What are we doing here? We're all turning a blind eye, right? I'm just saying it's getting old. It's just getting old. And it's silly. It's all silly. Like the pedophilia stuff is quite odd. I'm going to come out and say that. I'd like to say on this podcast, I'd like to make a stance right here. You know, this might be controversial to some out there that are pushing this man-boy love. But I would like to come out and say maybe the most controversial thing that I could ever say on this podcast and be like, maybe pedophilia is a little weird, isn't it? It's a little odd. And I know maybe that's going to be the straw that breaks the camel's back of me not being progressive enough in this new society that we're existing in. You know, maybe that's it. Maybe this is going to be where I crumble. They booted. You don't support that. You don't support the P in the alphabet army. You don't do that. Fuck it. What? It's like, come on. Let's pump the brakes here, fellas. It's a bit much. It's a little fucked up. Now, if you were like, hey, do you see that kid over there? And you're like, yeah, where's its mom? Where's that kid's mom? That's what we're looking for. She divorced? What's going on? Anyways, we're getting wacky over here. We're getting a little wild. Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day is today, as I'm recording this. For some of you, you get this episode earlier than most because you support this podcast. You believe in what I do. The others just float around. You're always looking over the fence. What's going on? Fuck. Wow. Time for a little ad read. DangerCatShop.com for all your tickets and merch needs that were tickets that were mentioned earlier. You know, all those dates. So we'll be touring around. We're hustling and bustling all around the country. We're trying to get all across Canada, doing all that fun, fancy horse shit that we love doing, telling jokes to fine folks. That's what we're about around here. We love a little ha-ha, a little hee-hee with the fine people, the salt of the earth out there. And if you want a little piece of merch, use the code podcast69 for 15% off your order today. That's dangercatshop.com for tickets and merch. Patreon.com/dangercat69. The links are down below in the bio. If you love this podcast and you want to support this podcast, best way to do it, Patreon. You get an extra episode every week, Thursday at 3 p.m. Plus all the episodes of Roast Battles are sitting, waiting for you, you know? If you enjoy this podcast and you enjoy another episode, well, guess what? There's one waiting for you and a backlog of a whole bunch of others that you can go through and listen to. Isn't that nice? Oh God, I sit here and I pat myself on the back for being such a wonderful human being. And then I go and do something like this. I do 2 podcasts a week and just ask you for, I think, a measly $5. That's right. 1 beer out of the month. 1 beer. To your old buddy Uncle Hack. Basically, what I'm asking you, instead of buying me a beer, you know, hey, I want to buy you a beer at the bar. Why don't you buy the podcast? Hey, buddy, I'll buy my own fucking beer. I'll buy my own fucking beer. Or what we'll do is get the podcast. Instead of a liquid going down my yap that I'm just going to piss out, why don't you just get the podcast? Why don't you get the podcast? There we go. There, I'm done hustling myself for the remainder of this show. Thank you for listening. And back to the episode. I'm trying to guilt people into giving me money these days. I don't know if it's working. It's not working overly too well, but I'm trying to be like one of those family members, you know, when somebody hits it big, they win a little bit of, yeah, it must be nice, right? You know, those people, you win a little bit of money, and I'm not saying like an astronomical amount, but they always try to make you feel guilty about, you know, being blessed with these nice, gracious gifts. And they just immediately go into, well, must be nice. I wish I could have, you know, even just $1,000. Like, oh, really? Wow. Anyways, Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day is here. It's upon us. And I wonder, I was pondering last night. I was just sitting there scratching my noodle, thinking to myself about all the young men out there that are about to learn the hardest lesson in life, you know. The hardest lesson in life. I remember when I was a wee lad. I remember when I was a young boy. I'm just going to talk to you like you're one of my friends, you know. And we're sitting and we're just drinking beers, discussing things like men do. And I remember just being a young boy, and you see these motion pictures of romance and what romance is supposed to look like and what you're supposed to do, you know, rather than just 2 human beings. Enjoying one another's company. As you get older, you just realize like this materialistic shit is just too fucking much, isn't it? You're always chasing the next thing. You can't be content. You know these people. You probably have a few in your life. You know, they get something, they make a purchase, and within 6 months they're getting the new thing. You know, it never stops. They got to have the newest, the biggest, the baddest, the fastest, the shiniest. There's always something. Oh, there's a new Chanel purse. I got to get my wife that so everybody thinks we're better than them. You know, materialism is what destroys, I think, a lot of us. Just chasing objects. Dog shit piece, just a dog shit human being. No compassion or empathy for others. Can't even sit there and enjoy a beer with a guy. It doesn't even need to come down to compassion and empathy, but this person is just such a shitbag to have a conversation with. You don't even have to like these people. You don't even have to like these people. In fact, you can hate them, but just to sit there and enjoy a small conversation is just, oh, you know? And some of you young bucks who have been... you're raised on social media, and for us, I was a 90s kid, so it was always movies and pop culture and what was on TV, music videos. And you get this idea that romance is buying chocolates, putting flowers on the ground and, putting a heart-shaped bed of flowers on this special day, February 14th, because that's the reason why your relationship isn't working is because, by buying artificial flower petals. And I did this when I was younger. I think I was like 16, 17. I thought I'd be a cutesy, bootsy little wee lad for, your first girlfriend, only to have your heart ripped out and stomped on, right? Your heart ripped out and stomped on. And it kills you. It murders that. And it ruins it for the next girl. And you get into this demon mode. That's what I'm saying. Going into demon mode. And you just start realizing, like, why the fuck would I do that? Right? And some of you young guys are going to have to learn that this Valentine's Day, maybe you went out and you worked your ass off to get reservations at this fancy restaurant up the street. And now, it wasn't good enough. You didn't get the right flowers. You took a wrong turn and now the day's all fucked up because you got lost, you missed your reservations, and you start realizing that the evil that's sitting across from the table, no matter how hard you that's life. But that's life. You got to go through those lessons. And some of these younger fellas, they have to learn these lessons young. And some of us don't get this life lesson till later in life. And it's a gut punch. It drops you. You're in like the 6th, 7th round. You think you're winning, and all of a sudden, boom, it's winded. You drop, and you're fighting to make the 10 count to get back on your feet. And and I know this is you listen to this podcast probably to uplift yourself. And right now, I'm speaking some hard truths to the younger fellas that are out there. That this day is just a reminder of like how shit it can be, think of all, it is funny. All these, this day rolls around and I was in the grocery store earlier and there's just all these guys lining up to buy flowers. It's just the same old mediocre shit. Oh, let's have flowers. And what are you going to get in return? You're going to go home and get a half-ass blowjob? Is that what it is? What do you get in return? You go out of your way. You're on your lunch break at work. Normally you maybe get a cigarette and a fucking gas station hoagie. But today you're going to the gas station and you're going to the grocery store to get some flowers. So now you're going to be hungry for the rest of the day, and you're going to come home. You're going to be greeted with a, "Oh my God, thank you." And then now your little prize, by going out and doing this task of purchasing flowers, you get what some men get every day, and that's a blowjob. You get a blowjob. Isn't that nice? You went out. Those flowers could have cost you $30, so that's 1 hour of your life. And I would say, like, I don't know, let's just say the average wage in Canadian dollars, right? In some places you're making $6.50 an hour. $6.50 an hour. So you got to work like almost a full fucking day for a goddamn bouquet of flowers that cost you $39.99. $39.99. 6 hours of your life to buy these flowers to get your fucking hog sucked. And the worst part is you'd get more pleasure out of jacking off. You could spit in your hand and it would feel the same, less teeth, the most unenthusiastic blowjob, even though you put, now if you're in Canada, I guess that's 2 hours of your life. Actually, it's 2.5 hours of your life dedicated to you going to some bullshit job. And I'm just assuming like $15, $20 an hour, whatever minimum wage is, or if you're entry level. I'm just thinking of like the men that are getting by. I'm not assuming that every guy is just making the bottom dollar, but some of us are out there and we're trying and we're strapping up the boots. We're going to work. We're doing the shit we don't want to do. You know, I would love to sit at home and, you know, take pictures of my pussy and put it on the internet, but I wasn't blessed with those gifts. God made me retarded with a strong back. So what do? I go and carry lumber around. I haul shit upstairs for the contract or the journeyman carpenter. That's what I do. I got an entry-level laboring job at this moment. I'm describing somebody else, not myself. I decided that my mouth is too big and I could possibly make a living talking shit. So here I am before you, describing your life to your ears. And you come home with that bouquet of flowers, that nice bouquet of flowers after a hard day's work. Maybe your old lady just got home from work too. You give her the flowers and guess what you're hit with? Oh, that's so nice. You know what? Here's your one of 4 blowjobs a year. You get one on Valentine's Day when you buy me flowers. You get one on your birthday and 2 sporadic ones when I come home hammered off wine night and I'm finally feeling frisky, you know? When I'm finally feeling frisky and I want to wake you up at 2:30 in the morning, even though you got to be up at 6, but I want to suck your dick because nothing brings out the whore in me like 7 glasses of red wine. And boy, oh boy, it's not going to be good. You're going to have stains on your hog from that nice Sauvignon. I don't even know names of it. I think Sauvignon Blanc. That'd be a white wine. I don't know a name for red wine. I apologize. I wish I had. It could have possibly made the joke better. But that hot breath of red wine, you know that smell. You mix in a cigarette. You know, everybody likes a cigarette when they're nice and hammered. So you mix those two together and it's just hot trash. And you're like, hi, honey. Hi. You felt that wind. It's just like a... You know, the only way to describe it is if anybody's seen those videos of any of those bioweapons the Ukrainians are using on the Russians right now. If you know those nerve agents that are like make them hit the deck and they just start, there's muscle spasms and you can just see like it just looks like a gruesome death. That's how you wake up when that red wine Canadian Classics breath smacks you in the nostrils as you're in a deep slumber, possibly having a good dream for once, right? You could be possibly having a good dream for once where you're thinking of like Mila Kunis coming out of the ocean, titties jiggling, and it's just like, yes, life is good. And then all of a sudden, like that dragon breath smacks you right between the nostrils. And your Abdullah Mangala is awakened. And now you have now that dragon breath that you've seen, you now see the dragon. Hi. You're like, oh, fuck me. This devil woman, what is she up to? Why is she standing over top of me with that red in her eyes? And on her lips from that red wine down at $4 bottle of wine night at Original Joe's down at OJ's. She's got a bottle of fucking wine in her system. And I'm in for a long, long day tomorrow. Hi.
Gay!
And that's Valentine's Day. In your 40s. That's Valentine's Day in your 40s. Right there. Hi. You met fucking 2 weeks later. Hi. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I just didn't describe 2 out of the 4 blowjobs that you get a year. What a shame. And you wonder why people cheat. There you go. Found it. Anyways, that's glad we got that off our chest. So that way we can talk about even more depressing shit for you today. So this is This is something that's fun that the Wall Street Journal, first article of the day, the Wall Street Journal reports this. Well, let's see. We got to go one more, I believe. No, let's go back. There we go. My apologies to those watching. The Wall Street Journal reports this. To save money, maybe you should skip breakfast. Oh, boy. You know, if it wasn't for the bloggers of the world, I don't think we would ever understand how to financially set ourselves free, right? You know, starving yourself is part of the, you know, I feel like Gary Vaynerchuk is about to pop up and be like, what you gotta fucking do, bro, is just like, you know, you gotta starve yourself. You gotta be hungry. He literally means be hungry. So that way you can survive. It'll turn you into a fucking beast, dude. Next thing you know, you're a social media Mongol. To save money, maybe you should skip breakfast. Yeah. Like when I started Vaynerchuk Media, prior to that, when I was just reviewing bottles of wine on YouTube, I just knew I had to fucking starve, bro. I had to fucking starve. And inflation wasn't necessarily a thing at that time. You know, maybe a little bit, but it is what it is, dude. That's what I did. That's what I had to do. And then in my spare time, you know what I do? I would go and harass garage sailors to sell me things for, 90% off. I would take those items, go and sit on eBay and try and peddle it to other retards across the country. So not only was I annoying everybody just trying to sell their items for a little bit of cash, I would go and resell those items, triple up my money, and it's called grinding. You just don't even understand. Like, called grinding. You're having a difficult time eating right now? Skip breakfast. Skip breakfast. These fucking idiots. Several breakfast staples saw sharp price increases due to a perfect storm of bad weather and disease outbreaks and continued effects from Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Found it. There it is. Right. It's all Russia's fault why inflation is taking place. You know, if those pesky Russians they didn't have chicken farms sprinkled all across the goddamn nation, we wouldn't see an increase of eggs and bacon and all that bullshit that we want to shovel down our yap. But you don't want to know what isn't inflating? The prices at McDonald's. So come on down and get some artificially modified fucking genetic GMO bullshit that's just going to cripple your insides. We're not even sure if it's meat or not. We don't even know if they're eggs. But we're going to sell it to you for $2. So for what you used to get 12 eggs for $2. Now it's going to be $19.50. So you might as well just go to McDonald's and let us serve you trash. So you can be a fat retard and we'll let the robots take over. How does that sound? God. Several breakfast staples saw a sharp increase due to a perfect storm of bad weather. Ooh, bad weather. Oh, there we go. Oh, the weather balloon over top of Montana. Disease outbreaks. Yes. Brian. Egg price. See, I don't get to read the whole article here. But just the headline alone is enough for you to just, in the first paragraph, egg prices increased 8.5% in January from a month earlier, are up 70.1% over the past year, the highest annual rate since 1973. The deadliest avian influenza outbreak on record has devastated poultry flocks across the U.S., leading the price of eggs to rise more than any other grocery store item in 2022, according to Information Resources, Inc. Isn't that something? Another influenza. This almost seems like... Now again, conspiracy theory podcast today, right? That's what we're going off of. The conspiracy side of me is starting to think that maybe there's like foreign influence on why these things are happening, right? Could it possibly be these things are happening because of foreign influence. Could China possibly be behind this? We don't know. We'll never know. In fact, to admit defeat is incredibly hard. And will the U.S. government ever do that? Will the Canadian government ever do that? No, they deflect it. Well, under the Harper administration, you see, the eggs were starting to rise at the end of Trump's presidency, so that's why we're seeing an increase. It's always deflection, you know? They're like fucking Keanu Reeves in The Matrix. And as these bullets are coming at him, they're just right by him. Inflation. Trump's fault. Woo! Oh, the Chinese are spying on us. Well, as we know, the Harper administration made contracts and in deals with the Chinese Communist Party. So it is not our fault, but we continue to serve and honor those contracts with those countries that are looking to invade and decimate Western civilization. I probably sound like a complete moron this episode. I'm just having fun, letting my thoughts fly, you know? This is just like shit I think about while I'm laying in bed looking at the roof after reading an article. This is the shit that I think about, okay? This is what I ponder, all right? This is what I speculate. Again, do not take what I'm saying for gospel. But when it's reported that you should starve yourself instead of, scratching your head and looking around and be like, what the fuck is going on here? Instead, it's just like, believe what the digital screen tells you. And it tells you need to eat less, you pig. Now, for some people, it could be true. Some people are overindulging a little too much, right? And I'm not suggesting that we get into a communist society where everybody gets their own equal share. No, that doesn't seem to work. It's been tried in the past, and it didn't quite pan out how we thought. But that's what they want you to believe. It's all passed down information. Well, if you skip a meal, you possibly could have more money in the bank for us to take. We'll find ways to get that money, don't you worry. But we want you hungry, poor, broke, weak. We don't need those nutrients being in your body. Have you thought about going to McDonald's today for a double cheeseburger that's on for $1.29? If you just eat cheeseburgers from McDonald's rather than buying eggs and home-cooked healthy meals made by grandma. Grandma was there's a grandma in there looking at eggs. That's why I say grandma. And grandma's cooking is 10 times better than Rotten Ronnie's. We can all agree on that. You go to grandma's house, grandma knows how to make some good food, good eating. You've never left grandma's house being like, well, what the fuck was that? You know, what the fuck? Grandma has soul in her food. Grandma has like the right spices. And I don't want to sit here and listen to any of this shit and be like, well, white people, they don't know spices, right? People don't have no seasoning on there. Okay? You go to grandma's house, okay? You go to grandma knows what's up. My grandma made this rice and curry. And I'll tell you what, it competes with Indian food. I'll tell you that. Grandma got this recipe and she tweaked it a little bit. And that fucker had more zip than some of the Indian restaurants I've went. Like that shit had you sweating. I remember watching my uncle. He'd have to take about 3 swipes of paper towel when he'd sit down, and he'd just be leaking. He'd be like, "Well, the pores are clean. This is good. A good sweat. Get it out of my system." Grandma knows what's up. You're going to tell grandma, it's time to start eating at McDonald's. A bunch of lazy fucking retards. That's what exists here. Lazy retards. And we're like, okay, well, the government tells us to do such thing. And like other things that the government's telling us. This is fun. This is fun right here. This is what I want to get into. To work with your community. The Transportation Secretary of the United States, Pete Buttplug, and his name isn't Buttplug, Buttigieg, came out and said this to a community. All right, you can guess what the community is. And this is the most Actually, we'll just play it, just so I give you context. And I know I'm not an expert in American politics or anything like that, but it's just like what he said is hilarious. So we're just going to listen to it full.
To work with your contractors, to work with your community colleges on building a workforce that reflects the community. We have heard way too many stories from generations past of infrastructure where you got a neighborhood, often a neighborhood of color, that finally sees the project come to them, but everyone in the hard hats on that project looking like, doing the good paying jobs, don't look like they came from anywhere near the neighborhood.
Right.
You can build community wealth that will help close wealth gaps in this country if we can tear down those barriers. But that happens at the delivery level. To work with.
Isn't that fun? Isn't that fun? It's almost like politicians and these contractors that get these big projects, right? It's almost like they're in a big club. It's almost like they're in a big fucking club. You know, we see it all the time. We've seen it with the SNC Lavalin scandal here. You know, this contractor. Now with Doug Ford sitting down and at his daughter's wedding, inviting some of the biggest fucking crime bosses, you know, like the biggest construction companies owners in all of Canada. Some of the wealthiest families are invited to his daughter's wedding, and they donate money. They give a gracious gift to the daughter, right? Oh, we're going to pad her wallet a little bit. What are you going to do for us? You know? It's almost like they forget that the main reason of like these properties in impoverished areas, you know, some mogul comes in and buys a whole city block for cheap and then knocks it all down. Who are they going to use? Who are they going to use? It's almost like these governments already have it planned. And then they come in and have the audacity to sit in front of these communities and be like, that's what we need to see. We need to see more black construction workers. That's what we need to do. Have more of you under our thumb. But guess what? You're not going to get the contracts that you think you're going to get. You can get the bullshit. You know, you can get the bullshit. But what we need is more obedient workers under our thumb. Why didn't Pete just come out right and just say, like, listen, hey, that mixtape you've been working on for the past year and a half, trash, fine, it ain't fire, as they say, okay? What we're going to need you to do is pick up a goon spoon and start shoveling. We're going to need you to start mixing cement. We're going to need you to put aside whatever you thought you wanted to do and get over here what we're telling you to do. We want to see more of you working. Huh? That almost comes across more racist. Like you went in there and be like, well, you know what they say about black people, right? Lazy. These idiots. To have like the goal to go and stand in front of a community and be able to say that. Listen, what we got to do here is start making everybody a little aware that we're tired of seeing white people in the hood. It's like reverse psychology taking place for segregation. They're like, yeah, hey, why don't we do this? Why don't we start telling you guys to just start taking care of whatever you want and stay the fuck over there? That's fucking wild.
With your contractors, to work with your community colleges on building a workforce that reflects the community. We have heard way too many stories from generations past of infrastructure where you got a neighborhood, often a neighborhood of color, that finally sees the project come to them, but everyone...
Oh yeah, those neighborhoods of color that were thriving in the 70s. Oh, and then all of a sudden the CIA decided that, oh my, too many of these black people are getting a little too wealthy. We got to keep them down. We got to keep them down. What can we do? Wow, we'll sprinkle drugs into the community. We'll start taking away these plants where they were producing items for us. Because we can get there's slave labor overseas that we can get them to produce all these materials for half the cost. You know, why would we want a thriving economy here? Let's decimate the community. Compton is a perfect example of that. all because their policies that they put in place, all this legislation that they put in place, right? These government agencies that went in and destroyed neighborhoods. You can look all this shit up. It's true. It's the conspiracy episode, okay? I'm spilling all my bullshit. And then they have the audacity to come down and be like, hey, whitey boy came down here and built a building. Why aren't you building your own buildings? Gee, I don't know. Because you got the whole fucking community hooked on fentanyl. Everywhere I walk, I'm tripping over addicts. We would have a thriving community, but it just so happened that you decided to throw police officers all throughout the hood and beat the shit out of us. Now we're a little skeptical when you morons come walking through here, you know? But know what? It's not their fault. It's not their fault. No. It's never their fault. It's never a politician's fault, a lawmaker, any sort of position of power. No. That cracker that puts on a hard hat to go swing a hammer for fucking 10 hours a day, he's the one you got to be pissed off at. These fucking assholes. He's got that tie zipped up so goddamn tight, it's cutting off the blood flow to those shit for brains. To sit here in front of an audience and be able to say something like that, you know, as a comedian, that's funny as hell. That's ballsy. That's some tough knock comedy right there. One more time.
One in the hard hats on that project, looking like, doing the good paying jobs.
Doing the good paying jobs. You know that guy? You know that guy that's over there doing the good paying jobs? That you don't want to do? You know that guy? You know that guy? What a backhanded thing to say to like anybody that isn't white that's in construction. Isn't that kind of fucked up? You know, like it's almost like you discredit them. It's like fucking, you imagine being just like a dude just chilling and you're working. I've been to construction sites and it's not like it's just all white guys, you know? It's not always all white guys. In fact, in his mind, the Ku Klux Klan must be in the neighborhood piecing together a new cross to burn that day, you know? In his head, oh, yeah, those white hard hats, where do you think they came from? What else was white and on a white man's head? A hood with 2 oil holes in it. Trust me, I'd know. Joe Biden used to run for Grand Wizard back in 1807. That fucking dinosaur.
Look like they came from anywhere near the neighborhood.
Right.
You can build community wealth that will help close wealth gaps in this country.
Yes. What we need to do after we decimated your community with these mob loans and, gun stores and liquor stores, inside these impoverished communities, prior to anybody coming in and gentrifying the area, because we don't want that. You don't want Cracker Boy open up a craft brewery in the neighborhood or another coffee shop. We don't need that, right?
Come on, man.
That's what I'm saying, Boozy. We don't want that. See, what we need is you, after we've destroyed everything through corporate greed, to just come in and figure it out.
If we can...
I'm starting to sound like an anti-capitalist. I'd want to say that I'm not that, but I'm just like, I hate these fucks that sit on this moral high ground, that come in and start waving their finger, you know? They start waving their finger at people that are just trying to get by. Yeah, well, you see, the problem here isn't necessarily the government's fault. We didn't do any of those things that Uncle Hag said on his stupid little podcast that gets no listens. No. We don't have anything to do with those types of things, right? We're the good people. We're the good white people that didn't do all that shit to you, right? We made sure that we kept her between the mayo and the mustard this whole time. We made sure that ship was steering straight. And I'm sorry to come in here and use a reference to a ship on the sea because I know what your ancestors went through. Just like backhanded comment after backhanded comment.
Tear down those barriers. But that happens at the delivery level.
That happens at the delivery level. So what we're going to need you to do is now sign up for more of these for-profit communities, community colleges, so that way we can impoverish you even more. We can put you in mass amount of debts for a degree that could possibly not even get you a job once you get out. And you're then you're then left with even more risk, because we're not going to give you any forgiveness on your student loan debt. We're not going to do that. We're not going to subsidize any or even look to further education at all. What we need is you guys just to come together as a community, realize we're all fucked, and carry on as such. You know, I'll keep coming through here giving these wild speeches that are going to upset you and make you fucking hate any other race that isn't yours. So that way we can just like slowly massage segregation back into place, you know, and then we can finally have that race war that we've been gunning for, so we can implement some sort of martial law over all the communities, right? We can make sure that we monitor them, and just it's a power vacuum, and we're doing it in the most ignorant, low-life fucking way imaginable. But it's okay, because we're on your team. These cocksuckers. I cannot stand a single politician.
To work with your...
That's what I mean. That's what I fucking mean. They have the gall to sit there and say this shit to people's face. How many times does a politician just have to say some wild, outrageous bullshit to us before we start scratching our, be like, oh, fucking, you know what I mean? I'm so tired of these teams. You know what I mean? Like, they pick their own team captain. And then we sit here and that guy's better. Well, this guy's better because he said this. It's all he said, she said bullshit, right? That's all it is. And then we play the popularity contest, and we think that we're a part of something. We think that we have any sort of say in how we progress ourselves as humans by electing these idiots that are going to cater to mass corporations to further their profit, right? Yeah, the average salary isn't enough for us politicians. We make $150,000 a year. It just isn't enough. But on top of that, I get all this insider trading and all this, all this money that's been lobbied. It's so tough being me. Bee boo, bee boo, bee boo. And then they just come and they put on their fancy little suit and be like, I'm a socialist, even though they're wearing like $30,000 watches, driving around at $90,000 cars. And we need to think about the workers in this country. That's what we need to think about. All these companies are getting record profits and we sit there and we just bang our head on the desk and be like, well, my guy's better because he said this. And then we get in the streets and we start arguing, you're fucking liberal, you're fucking conservative. And everybody's just fucking pounding their own cock. Just punching themselves in the dick, yelling, vote this guy because he fucking came to my community and had a big speech and it got me all riled up. It's no different. Like, they're just shitty comedians at this point. That's all they are. Just shitty comedians with no jokes. So they just come in, rile everybody up, get everybody on edge. This guy, Trudeau is bad because of this. Pierre's bad because of this. And we just argue and fight with one another, and it's just a continuing cycle. Then they come down to your community, they say some shit like that, it goes on the internet, we do exactly what I just did, we rant and rave, right? We rant and rave, oh! Even though we got to wake up the next morning, go to our bullshit job where we're underpaid at. Just a number on the list, on the payroll list, employee 7189. Oh, he worked a little overtime this month. Oh, that's good for us. The government, we like that. We like that this guy is just wasting his life. putting in more hours at work, chasing the illustrious dollar day by day. Every minute that he spends at work, guess what? We lick our lips even more. Keep working, you fucking idiot. Oh, you want to work a little overtime? We're taking 70% of it. 70% of your overtime. Oh, this guy, he fucking cares about me. Kiss my fucking ass. Fuck them all. And with that being said, the greatest segment in all of podcast history. Nobody's doing it like we are over here. Actually, a lot of people are doing it like we are over here. We just, I just talk out of my ass. That's all I'm saying. You know, hate mail. We love hate mail. We rant, we rave, we get things off our chest. We need that. You need that. You know, some of us don't want to go to therapy. Some of us don't want to sit there and talk to some fucking asshole pushing up his glasses, writing down shit and then just go, oh, that's interesting, right? We don't want to do that. We just want to express ourselves, get whatever the fuck is stuck inside, get it out in the open. So you were able to write me anonymously, unclehack at dangercast.tv with the subject line, hate mail. It could be whatever you want. I don't give a fuck. That's the joy of hate mail. It could be a question. It could be whatever it is you want to know or want to say, because I don't want to censor anybody. And I read it exactly how it is sent to me. Exactly how it is sent to me. And our first piece of hate mail today is a question. See, I like, even though I was like, hey, send me all your hate mails. What do you hate the most? And some of you were like, fuck you, I'm going to send a question. And I like that because you're telling me to go fuck myself. And I like that. I need that. Keeps me level-headed. It doesn't allow an ego to get inflated, you know? I had one guy tell me the other day, he's like, oh, I hear you're really shy, bashful in public. Yeah, because who the fuck wants to hang around a guy that acts like this all the time? You know, this is me. Wow. That sounds really manly, doesn't it? This is me just getting my horse shit off my chest. That's all. 1 hour. 1 hour, you get the rants and raves and just my ideas, thoughts. And I know I may not be able to articulate the exact words in that moment because of my vocabulary being so small and my inability to, I guess, put this cloak on that makes me seem or sound like an intellectual. I lack that. So it's raw emotion, trying to get it out. And sometimes it just doesn't make sense. That's the way it goes, you know? And we just sit here and get it all off our chest. Anyways, first piece of hate mail today is a question. It goes, hack. As a fellow MMA fan, I was just wondering about your opinions on Dana White's power slap. See, this is kind of funny in there. Dana White's power slap right in there. And any person with a white power right in it. Dana White power slap league. Oh boy. Dana White power slap league. There you go. There's the clip that'll get me in trouble today. Why would he name it that? White power. White power. Why wouldn't you just call it power slap? You had to fucking throw that in there. That ain't good. See, the symbolism behind everything. There's symbolism. That's what I mean. Once you go down that rabbit hole and you start looking, it's just right there in front of your eyes. Everywhere you look, it says it's right there. White power. Unreal. I think they need to rebrand early. Maybe that might be the move. But apart from that, I think I don't know. I don't really care. You got to be a fucking moron to think that it's a good idea to stand opposite of somebody and just slap the hell out of one another as it's like some form of competition. What do you compete? Like, what the hell is this? That's what I mean. We just want violence. We aren't getting the violence that we got out of regular sport. You know, we're too, I don't know if it's us that's concerned, but the leagues are always concerned about these athletes and these superstars getting injured. And as time went on, we just put rules in front of all that. So now this is what we get. This is the result of just like, I hate to say pussify, but just putting all these fucking roadblocks and changing the game that, you know, we enjoyed growing up, and then you put another rule in, you can't do this because of that, and it just changes the whole dynamic of how even hockey, football, basketball, whatever sport, even baseball, just changes because we like the violence. Men watch those sports, this bread and circus bullshit, because we like the violence. We like gladiators. We like those that rise above, where I don't really see this is like, you know, UFC is different because you're training in a skill set. You're just learning how to slap. And you just beat the fuck out of one another. You slap the shit out. Some of them are leaving with like their faces are like half hanging off and be like, oh, good time, good. I made $3,000. My molars are, you know, in my small intestine right now because he slapped the hell out of me in that first round. I'm going to shit a tooth later tonight. That's going to be nice. That'll feel good coming out. Rip my rectum. Why don't you? So I don't know. I don't really watch it. I don't care for it. I could give a shit. You know, I like the highlights, but I would never sit down and really dive into a full match. Not quite sure what they called. You know, I don't care enough. You know, okay, this is a long one. This guy wrote me a fucking novel here, so we're just gonna read it and then we'll move on. How does that sound? Hack. What's cracking, you sexy fucking stud of a chud? We all know you're secretly gay with that hideous Ron Jeremy wannabe porn stash, but that's besides the point. You're still fucking gay, regardless of whether you hide it or not. Bee-boo, biatch. Just kidding, man. You rock, and so does this podcast. Look, man, I'll level with you. I'm not one to be moaning and groaning about every fucking thing on the planet that's bothering me, especially on the interwebs, like that fat ratchet bitch Sherry Mackay from the north end of Winnipeg that thinks she's some kind of special and tried to cancel you. But this hate mail shit seems right up my alley. No pun intended, because I'm not secretly gay like you. Nice. So I may make this a regular thing and send tons of fucking hate mail just for a laugh. Appreciate that. Now listen, bro, I don't know what the hell's going on up there in your neck of the woods, but right here in dirty Winnipeg, we have all kinds of fucked up going on. Most notably, the fucking homeless problem plaguing the city. They have taken over the bus shacks and set up camps in almost every vacant lot you can think of. I'm not too sure if it matches the likes of 118th Ave up there in Edmonton, but it has the same fishy crack whore smell of rotten twat mixed with filthy crack whore ass. Tainted with an ever so slight hint of rancid man splooge and booze. Ooh. You better fucking patent that potion. Calvin Klein's going to take that and make it a cologne. I walked down the street the other day and the local bus shack dweller was camped out like he owned the goddamn place. Garbage everywhere with shit and piss all over the place surrounding the shack. Maybe it was his cat, but I haven't seen a cat around there, and I'm pretty sure the size of those stink nuggets would have torn a cat's ass apart. Our mayor, Scott Gillingham, seems to turn a blind eye to this shit. Just the other week, he got a federal grant to plant over 71,000 trees here in Winnipeg, a grant that seriously could have been used to considerably help the homeless issue. At least we know one thing, though. With all the homeless shitting everywhere, the city isn't going to have to worry about fertilizing those new trees. Silver lining, good on you. The homeless haven't, fertilizing those new trees, the homeless haven't, homeless have that covered. Literally, my bad. Not only do they have that occurred, they also have the work experience program for the homeless in full effect as well, along with free labor, free fertilizer, zero marketing, and 100% profit. How's that for some greasy political bullshit? It's a close second to how greasy your ass is, but that's a story for another time. All things considered, with everything else going on, gender identity, the Ukraine war, JT being a cuck like usual, how the fuck does anybody take these shitheads seriously anymore? Just a rant of many? That being said, fuck them all. Cheers, Hack. Keep it real and rowdy. Original Rowdy out. That was a long one. We got through it though. We got through that together as a collective. See, that's what I'm talking about. You got to get that shit out of your system, you know? Just like the homeless encampments that are taking place. The reason I screenshot that email, because usually we do something nice and make it seem so cool like this one, but that one was just way too long. Trying to squish all that in there. Just figured, fuck it. All right, our final piece of hate mail for the fine folks out there. Sup, cum, guggler. Not sure what a guggler is, but okay. Coming from the great province that has a homeless... Okay. Coming from the great province that has a homeless problem and where you can legally own heroin, I have a bone to pick about the dog father, Snoop Dogg. He's been such a bitch since he found out about crypto and NFTs. He's creating special NFT albums and selling them for $8 in Ethereum. That douche has also been removing a lot of Death Row albums off of Spotify since he purchased Death Row Records. He's also been talking about making the Death Row streaming service and putting them all onto there. So in a nutshell, fuck Snoop and fuck Daddy Trudeau. Thanks for the podcast, though, homie. Listen to every episode. Appreciate you, and we appreciate you for taking time and sending us a piece of hate mail. That's right. If you want to send us your piece of hate mail and get something off your chest, unclehack@dangercast.tv, subject line hate mail, and every week we'll read out 3 of these, so that way we can all feel as a unit, like we're progressing as one, you know? That's what it's all about. And with that being said, thank you for listening to another episode of the Uncle Hack Podcast. We appreciate you for tuning in, allowing me to get some things off my chest, and that's why I allow you to get some shit off yours. Or maybe you want some shit on your chest. I don't know what you're into, but regardless, hey, have a great day out there and keep her between the mayo and the mustard, bud. Fuck yeah.